Hello everyone, it is April and today we're doing my June TBR. I am in the mood for mostly creepy things. Nothing is new here. So let's get into it. I want to share with you before we dive into the cup, because as you know, the cup is back. Before we do that, I do want to share with you my June book club pick over on Patreon. If you don't know, I have a little Patreon book club that is linked in the description box below. The theme for June was essentially saving books, and it was between Fahrenheit 451 and The Shadow of the Wind. And they chose The Shadow of the Wind, which has been on my TBR forever. Like years and years. So I'm honestly really relieved in some ways that it is The Shadow of the Wind. It just sounds incredible, and this is the start of a series, so if I like this, I know that I can move on with it. This follows a young boy named Daniel. He lives in Barcelona in 1945. And one day, his father, who is an antiquarian bookseller, he says, "Daniel, you can choose any book in this room for yourself." And he chooses The Shadow of the Wind by Julian Carax. And he reads it and he loves it. And then he's like, okay, I want to read more of this guy's work. And then he realizes that someone, or many people, are essentially destroying this guy's books, including The Shadow of the Wind. Like, he might only have the last copy. He doesn't know. So he's trying to find out what happened and try to save these books in some way or another. Doesn't that sound good? I am so excited to read this. It's high time. Okay. The cup is back. I am going to do a little shuffling because I don't know when the last time I shuffled was. I'm doing a terrible job of it. So the idea, this is my TBR cup. If you are new to my channel, I pull out 4 prompts and then I choose books on my shelves that are associated with those four prompts, and then I try to read as many books as I can. So, first book, this one. Oh, spooky. Oh, spooky. But that's an easy one. I'll be right back. Right away, I have 3 books I'm very excited about. I'm going to save the one that's been on several TBRs for the very last because I am humiliated. The first book is The Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. I really want to read this summer because it's clearly a summery read. This follows a group of small kids it's the 1960s in a small town, and it's summer and they're off, and during the day they're all playing together, but when a bell goes off, everyone in the town goes home. They know that's kind of curfew. They go home because there is a monster wreaking havoc, I should say, in this town. And this group of kids try to fight the monster. It sounds very It-esque by Stephen King, but I am hoping that this will be better. I don't know. It might not be, but I think it sounds like a lot of fun. It is big. So that's the only thing that I'm a little like, little nervous about. So I could read that. I think it's also high time that I find out what happened to Mallory from Bird Box. So Bird Box is one of my favorite horror books of all time, in which something is outside. You don't even know what that is, but if you see it, you'll lose your mind. You will kill everyone around you and you will kill yourself. And so everyone is going through the world essentially boarded up in houses, afraid to go outside. When they do go outside, they wear blindfolds. And we followed Mallory taking these 2 kids outside, all blindfolded, going down a river trying to find a safe haven. And this is the continuation of her story. And I want to know, it's time for me to find out whatever happened to Mallory. I've just been nervous about it because I don't always get on with Josh Malerman's work, and I love Bird Box so much that I'm just a bit nervous. This next one I am nervous to show you because you guys are going to be like, you really still haven't read that? And like, I'm judging myself, okay? I am judging myself. And it's okay if you judge me. I don't blame you. This is Mexican Gothic. I'm going to go through this very quickly. Mexican Gothic follows a woman in the 1950s. She gets a message, a letter from her cousin who's recently married and moved away. It's a nerve-wracking letter. Things are going wrong at her new home with her new husband, and the house is strange. And she goes to rescue her. And the house is strange. That's all I'll say about that, because I have talked too much, way too much about that book and not read it. So humiliating. Okay, let's pick another prompt. Branches on the cover. Let me see what I can find. I have 2 books for branches on the cover. They are both arcs. So I do apologize. Neither of them have come out yet. And they're both coming out in September. But I'm still excited about them. So I'm going to share them with you. First is The Haunting of Lee Harker, I should say. And there are tons of trees in the background with lots and lots of branches. So Lee Harker is someone who lives in a suburban home, and she's lived there for a long time. No problems. All of a sudden, all sorts of strange things start happening. A dark figure looms in the shadows of her bedroom door at night, watching her and waiting for her to fall asleep. So as a result, she's having a very hard time sleeping. But you know, like at some point you do have to fall asleep. Oh, it sounds so creepy and very like Nightmare on Elm Street-esque in some ways. And she's trying to find out what this sudden ghost wants. Like, how did this ghost enter her home? Darcy Coates writes really fun ghost stories. This one, again, is coming out September 7th. So I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I could read that. Another book coming out in September that I just think sounds incredible, also September 7th, is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. So these are all trees with tons of branches on them. So in this book, we're following a married couple. And I think they are having some struggles in some ways. They're both like workaholics, and they decide to have a little getaway for their next upcoming anniversary. And they celebrate by, you know, doing the typical things. Like I can't remember how they work, but like each anniversary you give them paper one time, wood another time. I don't know them all, but that's what they do. And then Mrs. Wright always writes a little letter to him every year, and this year she's decided to give it. Other years she just writes them and then doesn't give them, which is like, what's the point? But this year she decides to give it to him. Another little twist in the story is that Mr. Wright suffers from face blindness, which means that he recognizes his wife through her demeanor, through her voice and that kind of thing, but he doesn't recognize her face. So I'm wondering if Mrs. Wright is not Mrs. Wright. I'm excited. I think it sounds incredible. Okay, time for another prompt in the cup. People on the cover. Okay, I have 3 books here that I want to share with you, all of them with people on the cover. The first is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. My dear friend Rachel got this for me for my birthday, and we're gonna read it together. And so I will definitely be reading this. This is meant to be very emotional. I think that's the right term to use for this. This follows 2 little boys. One of them is a wealthy boy living in Afghanistan. I think this whole thing takes place in Afghanistan. And the other little boy is, I think, a servant and companion, which is strange. In any case, they are incredibly close to each other. They have this amazing friendship, and it is about their experience living there, and then also their experience when one of the boys leaves. I don't know much about it, which is amazing because this is so beloved and has been all over the place, and I'm kind of lucky that I don't know too much about it. So I'll go into it kind of blind, but I'm very much looking forward to The Kite Runner. And the next two are both books that are coming out in June, I believe early June. This next one is Palace of the Drowned by Christine Mangan. This is about a writer who has had a lot of success with her first book. Unfortunately, since then, she's really struggled. And so she decides, after her latest book has come out with a lot of criticism, and after a very public outburst, she decides that she's going to have a little holiday. So it's 1966, it's the summer, she decides to go to Venice. Unfortunately, she chooses the very summer that Venice floods. And while she's there, she meets her biggest fan. And this woman kind of follows her around, and at first it seems okay, and then over time, she gets a sense of discomfort. She gets uncomfortable, and it follows their story. And you guys know, I love Tangerine. Ready for her next book. Next up is The Other Black Girl. This sounds incredible as well. This follows a young professional Black woman who is, really ambitious. She is working at a place called Wagner Books. She's got a lot of pressure because it's this legendary place, and like she wants to do so well. She also happens to be the only Black person working at this place, which is kind of strange. So when another Black girl shows up and starts working at Wagner Books, she's so excited. Unfortunately for her, she also starts to receive strange notes on her desk at the same time that this other girl started. And these notes are getting progressively more and more threatening. They're telling her to leave Wagner Books. And I think it just escalates. Like, I think the tension escalates, and I am here for it. So, The Other Black Girl, I'd love to read that. Okay, last prompt. Poll. So I am going to head on over to Instagram, put 2 books on the poll, and then you guys have to choose which book I'm going to read. I'll let you know. Excuse the noise outside. We're getting a fence built, which I'm not complaining about. I'm so excited. 4 years in this house and no fence, So I've chosen the 2 books that I'm going to make you guys choose for me over on Instagram. First is Group. This is How One Therapist and a Circle of Strangers Saved My Life. And it really is about someone named Christy who really doesn't want to keep on going in life. And she's really struggling. And it's about how this therapy has saved her. That sounds so good. The other book is How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. I just got this. Everything I've learned from things going wrong. And it's a memoir about things going wrong in her life and them being all a blessing in one way or another. So these are the 2 you're going to choose from. You guys chose Group. So those are all of the books that I'm going to be reading in June. Let me know in the comments below what you're planning to read. I'd love to know. I hope it's going to be an amazing reading month for you and me. I will chat with you very soon. Bye, guys.